Hey, what is up, mortals? It is Sam Gabriel here, and before we get into today's video, there are a few things I would like to say. Firstly, a thank you to everyone who worked on this project from beginning to end, and secondly, we would like to announce the WTC Naruto Minecraft server, which will be acting as the sponsor of today's video. On the WTC Naruto server, you can play as a ninja and build your own village. There are many different clans for you to choose from, so it would be awesome if you joined us over there. Now lastly, this is a complete series video. So if you're interested in seeing more of this sort of video, then make sure to leave a comment in the comment section and leave a like. It really does help. Anyway, with that out of the way, let's get into the video. After the villain attack on the USJ, resolved with Shigaraki, Kurogiri, and Nomu escaping before finishing their bout with All Might, everyone was able to come out of the incident mostly unscathed, aside from Aizawa and 18. The next day rolled around and Aizawa came to class and explained that the UA Sports Festival was going to be their next endeavor. During lunch, the students enthused about the upcoming event, with Izuku getting swept away in the excitement alongside everyone else. Having seen Uraraka's demeanor change from hearing about the festival, he realized he never asked why she wanted to become a hero. As Izuku, Ida, and Ochako made their way to the cafeteria, he asked her. The answer she gave, money, gave him a small physical reaction that luckily went unnoticed by his friends. Afterward, she explained the financial situation of her parents and how she wanted to help them. Her explanation didn't do much to change how he saw her goal. It still subscribed to the sick ideology of modern society. All Might peered around the corner of the hallway the three had been walking and asked Midoriya to join him for lunch. After telling Uraraka that he still had more questions for her and asking to continue the conversation another time, in the faculty break room the two discussed his increase in the amount of one-for-all he could control, how much longer All Might could remain in the symbol of peace, and the consequences of his retirement. All the while, the pro-hero led the conversation to Izuku's performance at the upcoming sports festival. He conveyed to the boy that it was his opportunity to tell the world, "I am here," and show everyone that he was going to be the next All Might. Midoriya nodded in agreement, allowing his voice to fill with determination as he spoke. Right. If I want not only to save people, but to inspire them and change the way people think about the title hero, I need to stand out and lead by example. The skeletal blonde man looked at his apprentice with pride, and the two finished their lunch. When the day ended, the door to Class 1A was crowded with students from other classes, scouting them out. With Bakugo's attitude provoking the crowd, a purple-haired boy walked to the front of the crowd, declaring his dissatisfaction with the way the hero course was acting. The boy declared war on the class, saying he would get into the hero course, even if it meant replacing one of the students by showing them up in the sports festival. After some protest about how he had just represented the class and got the other students to hate him, Bakugo told his classmates that he didn't care, since he was headed for the top. As Ida, Uraraka, and Midoriya were walking to the train station, Midoriya asked Uraraka if she wanted to hang out and get food. After he offered to pay for her, they decided to go for mochi. He still wanted to probe her about her reasoning for being a hero. Their conversation went from their home life to heroes, to the upcoming sports festival, and finally to Izuku's former training. Ochako had a mouthful of mochi when she brought it up. "How'd you get so good at fighting?" Izuku put down the mochi he was going to eat. He had a feeling this would lead to a long discussion. "Someone trained me. He was the first person to tell me I could be a hero." Uraraka's face contorted in confusion as soon as she heard the part about this person being the first to tell Midoriya that he could be a hero. "But you've got a super strong quirk. Why would people think that you couldn't be a hero?" Izuku knew what he needed to say. It was the lie he told everyone. "I got my quirk really late. It's rare, but sometimes they don't manifest until later in life. I met him before I had my quirk, and he taught me how to fight. He told me I had what it took to be a true hero, and that it wasn't about fame, glory, or the money. Giving help that's not asked for, that's what makes a true hero." A soft look of awe that found its way onto Ochako's face turned into a just as soft smile as she spoke. "He sounds like an amazing person. Sort of reminds me of when I first saw a hero in action. My parents were always exhausted, so what I really noticed were the expressions on everyone's faces. I love seeing people look happy, so it's natural that I want to help people who look troubled. Is there any way I can meet this mystery master of yours?" Midoriya smiled at her response. He hadn't needed to poke around for what he needed to hear. It just came up in conversation. Stain probably wouldn't have liked her, but she'd pretty much proven that she had what it took to be a hero to Izuku with what she said. He quickly shot down the idea of Uraraka meeting him and explained that he didn't even know where he was, just that he was still alive. The two continued to chat for a while before Midoriya decided he should go home. The following 2 weeks, everyone prepared for the festival in their own way until the day finally arrived. As the students were moments away from the sports festival starting, Todoroki approached Midoriya and made his own declaration of war against the boy. Filled with determination, Midoriya told Shoto that everyone was aiming for the top and that included himself. Shortly after exchange, the doors opened and they made it out to the first-year stage. Aizawa and Hisashi introduced themselves as the announcers. Midnight introduced the new students and had Katsuki say the athletes' oaths. In doing so, he provoked and riled everyone up by calling them stepping stones. After all the fuss, the first challenge was picked, the obstacle course. The students readied themselves, and as soon as they got the green light, everyone ran, clogging the entrance. The first to get out was Shoto, who froze most of the group behind him to the ground. Class 1A and many other students were able to avoid the ice, but compared to the previous numbers, it was nothing. Mineta went to attack Todoroki with sticky balls, but got smacked away by a faux robot. The participants were being stared down by a bunch of zero-pointers from the entrance exam. Shoto froze a few of them off balance as he ran past the threat, crashing in front of and on top of those who tried to follow. The rest of Class 1A went over, through, or quickly fought off the robots, advancing forward without hesitation. Izuku stayed back a bit, dodging a hit from one of the smaller robots while taking a piece of fallen-off armor from one of the zero-pointers. Using one for all, he bent the piece of metal into shape, repeating what he had done during the entrance exam and making a substitute for his sword. Izuku thought to himself, since I couldn't get my support items approved, I just need to make do with what I have. With one of the bots still following, he stopped running. In one swift movement, he turned around and leaped into the torso of the machine blade first, causing it to explode. Running past the rest of the bots using one for all on his legs, he quickly caught up to the rest near the front of the pack. Reaching the second challenge, he ignored the ropes connecting all the platforms that stood tall over the seemingly endless abyss below. Jumping from platform to platform, he had passed Ida and took the spot behind Bakugo. Catching up to Todoroki and Katsuki, the first place became a toss-up of the three. As the finish line got closer and closer, Midoriya pulled further and further ahead of the two. With the landmines increasing in number and decreasing distance between each other, Izuku got an idea. He slammed his foot into a large cluster of mines while propelling himself forward, increasing his speed and passing through the finish line while pushing back the competition. Seeing that he was the first to enter the finish area, a relieved and proud smile plastered on his face. As the other students started piling in, a group of business students started talking about how interested people would probably become in Izuku with his performance in the obstacle course and his powerful quirk. Ida and Uraraka joined Midoriya as soon as they passed the finish line, the former complimenting the way he won. That the next event would be a cavalry battle. Once the rules were explained, all eyes were on Midoriya and his 10 million point headband. With almost everyone either wanting to challenge or stay away from him, the only people who were willing to join his team were a girl from the support class named Mei Hatsume, Ochako Uraraka, and Fumikage Tokoyami. As soon as they got the signal to start, teams started perusing them. With Tokoyami in the front, they were able to block oncoming attacks. With Hatsume and Uraraka in the back, they were able to use Mei's inventions and Ochako's quirk to increase mobility. After Mineta destroyed one of Mei's hover souls that they were using to escape, and a failed attempt at the headbands by Bakugo, the team was faced with Team Todoroki. With the halfway point passing, multiple teams tried to rush the two, only for Kaminari's lightning to blind them and Todoroki to freeze them in place to avoid any interference and take a couple of headbands. As Team Todoroki rushed Team Midoriya, Dark Shadow went in for an attack and got blocked by Yaoyorozu's creation quirk. With only a minute left, Shoto had a mini arena of ice made to keep others out and Team Midoriya in. Tenya gave Shoto a warning before using his Recipro boost to push past Midoriya faster than anyone could see and letting Shoto grab his headband. With the opposing team's means of escape now gone, Team Midoriya rushed Todoroki to get their headband back. With 20 seconds left, Midoriya pushed away Shoto's defensive arm and grabbed the top couple headbands around his neck. Checking the headbands, he realized they were only 70 points and 165 points. His team rushed back with 10 seconds left only to run out of time. After dismounting from his team, the world around them started to disappear. Disappointment and despair started to take hold as he stood, staring blankly into the distance at nothing. He was trying to make a splash, and he thought he failed. He needed to make it to the last event and show the world that he was here, but he failed. He needed to show people what a hero really was, and he failed in his first step. Incohesive muttering spewed from his mouth, getting weird looks from bystanders. The familiar voice of his friend calling him by his nickname snapped him out of it. When he turned around, he was greeted with her smiling, pointing to Tokoyami and Dark Shadow, holding a 519-point headband, ensuring them the 4th place and entry into the last part of the sports festival. Tears fell from his eyes, and he smiled and thanked his teammates. While all the other students left for the mess hall, Izuku and Shoto went off on their own to talk. Shoto confronted Midoriya, asking if he was All Might's illegitimate love child. Midoriya's response of, "That's not it," piqued his interest even more. Leading the conversation into a new direction, he explained his father's marital situation, why he was born, the abuse his family had gone through, how his mother burned him, giving him the scar on his face, and why he wouldn't use his left side. He left, telling Izuku that he'd rise above him and apologizing for wasting his time. Hatred, pity, anger, fear, sadness, and shock battled in Izuku's mind after hearing this. The rest of lunch passed, and one-on-one matches were randomly decided before some festivities began, with Ojiro and Class 1B's Shota dropping out of the contest. While everyone was dealing with the pressure of the final exam coming up, Midoriya was informed of what happened between Ojiro and his upcoming opponent during the cavalry battle. Izuku's first match, and the match to kick off the tournament, was Midoriya versus Shinso. Thank you all for sticking around, and I hope that you enjoyed. Before you leave, we would just like to let you know that We the Celestials has many other channels for your entertainment and viewing purposes. All the information you'll need is right below here in the description, so feel free to check out all the other incredible projects our team creates. Secondly, on behalf of We the Celestials, I'd like to thank everyone involved in the production of today's awesome content. Their details will be in the description below. That's all for today's video, so goodbye and have a divine day.